That's the sound of a foldable fan finally returning from a month in the stifling confines of slab-land. Back in the high life again with the colossal canvas of a pocket tablet and all its accompanying advantages. But as relieved as I am to be on a folding phone where I belong, the Pixel 10 Pro Fold is only half a win. While it sets a new standard for theoretical durability and built-in convenience, it also retains some of the most frustrating compromises that have marred foldables since the beginning.
If you'll indulge a little speculation on my part, I think this phone is likely to go unnoticed by a large part of the mass market, and I can sum up the reasons why I think that in 5 words. Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7.
That's the foldable that made people sit up and take notice, reminded them that this category even exists, and set new records for Samsung sales in the process. And it did that largely because it's thin and light. 2 things the Pixel 10 Pro Fold is not. After just a few minutes with the Samsung, Google's phone seems heavy in the hand and even a bit archaic to the eye. The good news is that you do get compensation for those compromises. Under that glossy spine sits a new gearless hinge that helps make this the first dust-tight folding phone. As I said in my hands-on video, achieving that all-important 6 in the IP rating is no small feat, so those who've passed on foldables in the past due to dust-related durability doubts now have one less showstopper. Well, at least that's true on paper. I'll need to carry this for many months to pack enough pocket lint into its crevices to see how it holds up to real-world use. And there are 2 more consolation prizes for the brick-like build. The first of those, a fairly large 5015 mAh battery. Over my week of testing, I've put it through some punishing days, one of which saw several hours of GPS navigation, both behind the wheel and on foot, plus about a half hour of phone calls over Bluetooth. This audio is coming from the Pixel Buds, and I'm going to wager it's not that great, and several hours of podcast streaming over SAM. After 12 hours of this, I still had a quarter left in the tank. The next day was different, but even heavier, with constant text and audio messaging over Telegram, drafting this script in Google Docs and slinging emails and threads over a couple hours walk, and slinging bits to my laptop via hotspot for several more hours. With that kind of workload, I hit the 20% mark in a little under 9 hours. I wish Google would embrace the silicon carbon magic that its partners Honor and Oppo have used to great effect in much thinner enclosures, too. But I do think this battery is big enough for most folks, especially if you embrace the PixelSnap lifestyle. My house is dotted with MagSafe chargers throughout, and being able to throw the 10 Pro Fold onto any of those, or slap on a magnetic power bank, is an enormous, overdue boon. Even if topping up tops out at 15 watts. Kind of slow. And while docking it while deployed demands some dexterity, that 8-inch display makes for a great digital photo frame. And of course, it doesn't stop at powered accessories. Your MagSafe wallets and kickstands will work now, as will new accessories like the PixelSnap ring stand. So yeah, IP68, a big enough battery, and compatibility with a whole new ecosystem of magnetic accessories. This is just the kind of leadership I think Google should be showing on its foldable hardware, because its handset partners have already got thin and light on lock, and now they have new standards to shoot for. Speaking of setting the bar, the Pixel used to do that with its cameras, and I'm sad to say that this one does not. Now get it right, I'm not saying it's a bad camera. That's not true. It will serve even demanding mobile photographers quite well. Snaps are quick and reliable, whether it's spur-of-the-moment product shots or stupid selfies. Shooting the fall Amazon event with the 10 Pro Fold, I was perfectly happy with the stills I snapped of Panos Panay, even from the very back row. I even put it to work to great effect both in the demo area and the cerulean shadows of the after-party. And Google has made it even easier to lean into one of the best uses of foldables if you're a content creator, using the main cameras as selfie shooters. Open the Fold while the camera's running and you can set it to automatically flip sides. That's the kind of thoughtful touch that really makes a difference in the day-to-day and keeps a pixel in my pocket from year to year. But you'll note I said photographers. I've just come from 3 weeks on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and every time I used the Pixel 10 Pro Fold for video, I was reminded of just how big a lead Apple has here. What makes it particularly frustrating on this phone, though, is that there seems to have been no improvement year over year. Switching focal lengths while recording is just as stuttery and janky as ever, and the resulting output falls apart quickly in either ultrawide or telephoto zoom. And it's no wonder when you look at the spec sheet to find almost no changes to any of the optics since last year's Fold. I understand that cutting-edge hardware is hard, so I don't mean to be glib about this, but enough is enough. The people paying almost $1,800 for this thing deserve more than recycled components from last year, especially when those cameras were already underwhelming compared to their conventional cousins. Over in Cupertino, we've got Apple squeezing OpenGate into its selfie shooter and completely reinventing all 3 of its big cameras. Unless you think it's just about camera quality, no. Pay attention to the audio-visual sync here. This is Instagram story video recorded directly to the Instagram app on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And this is the same situation, except on a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Again, recording directly into the Instagram video app through the selfie camera. And here it is on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold selfie camera. Do you notice a synchronization issue between my lips and the words I am saying? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? This is not a new issue. The oldest report I could find was from over a year ago on the Pixel 9 Pro on Reddit, which I will link down below. Just the little things, and they stack up endlessly. The leadership Google has shown in the rest of this hardware needs to come back to the camera in a concrete, non-AI buzzwordified way before the name Pixel loses its clever double meaning. I'm also not too pleased with the condition of the software in its current form. Restoring from an earlier backup meant it carried over my icon theming, but when I went to disable that, because it's ugly and incomplete, the option to do so was missing. The camera viewfinder inverted on me once, another time the cover display glitched out, and the Pixel Journal didn't restore my backup from another phone, which prevented me from testing it properly. Finally! This literally took a week. Okay, never mind. That finally worked. It all just feels a little undercooked, which is surprising given the extra 5 weeks Google gave it in the oven compared to the slabs. Now, even though review devices should arrive ready to be reviewed, I have asked Google if it has a rough timetable for when the first software update post-release can be expected, and I will drop it in the comments if the company gives me one. And, I am willing to put up with a few quirks in exchange for that thoughtful Pixel experience, now given all the room it needs on this 8-inch screen. I may not use multitasking often, but when I need it, it comes in handy, like when I was trying, without success, by the way, to book a demo for the Meta Ray-Ban displays, and when I was transposing data from a training spreadsheet into my calendar, and when recording a transcript of the Casio Mouflon event, where I picked up my new robot hamster thing. And as for all the new features, my takeaway from the Pixel 10 review stands. While Google's trying to cram in countless Gemini-based knickknacks, for me, it's the existing Pixel features, like at a glance, that bring consistent value. Tell me what I need to know without asking for it, and get it right every time. To me, that's much more compelling than giving me the tools to generate so-called AI art on my phone. Nice. Or asking AI to reframe a photo for me or draft a text on my behalf, removing me piece by piece from the act of self-expression or communication. No thanks. Hello, team. It's your friend, Mid-Edit Mr. Mobile, with one of my patented things I forgot to say in the video. There is one useful AI-ish feature. Actually, there are a few, but there's one in particular that I liked that I didn't notice until after I'd written the script.
You can now tell Gboard, if you're dictating to your phone, dictating a message, say, you can now give corrections to Gboard as commands. So you can say, go back and change that. Change ketchup to ketchup if it got something wrong, which it doesn't often, but when it does, you can do that by voice instead of messing around with the keyboard. It's actually pretty impressive how many new features have been crammed in from a voice control standpoint. So that is worth checking out if you're willing to anonymously share that usage data with Google. I think that's in the terms and conditions you agree to when you enable it. Okay, let's get back to business. I don't got time to play around. What is this?
And finally, the fundamentals are similarly split. While cellular reception is strong enough, I found the GPS a little less confident than I'd like when confronted with overhead obstacles. The speakers are very loud, great for walk-and-talk phone calls or audio messages, but the display will only give you its full brightness for a very short time before the phone throttles it. Something I also noticed on the non-folding Pixels, and for that matter the Samsung Fold 7 and Honor Magic V5, well, every Android phone, I'm sad to say. Now make no mistake, I won't be switching to an iPhone as my primary anytime soon, and in any case there's no slot on those for my physical SIM, as there is on the Fold. But if the Pixel is, at least in part, Google's showcase for its ideal vision of what Android can be, then I think the Fold should be the hallmark, top-shelf collection of the best of that showcase. What it feels like instead is a somewhat watered-down afterthought that demands too much for too many compromises and relies too heavily on AI gimmicks to give it value. Now, because I like its software better than any other book-type foldables, and because I've been waiting so long for MagSafe on Android, I will probably still carry it in lieu of any other large foldable. But I'm just not sure how many other people should. Friends, you may have noticed a few shots of the Pixel Watch 4 in this video, and while I don't have a review ready today, that's because I'll be covering that device at sea, alongside some others, on the world's last ocean liner, the Queen Mary 2, and I'll be aiming to break a little-known world walking record in the process. Stay tuned for that in the weeks ahead. This review was produced following 7 days with the Pixel 10 Pro Fold review sample provided by Google, but as always, Google had no editorial input or copy approval rights, not even an early preview of this video, because it's a review, not sponsored content. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and you can follow me on Threads for updates between the videos at Captain Two Phones. Until next time, from Michael Fisher, thanks for watching, and stay mobile, my friends.